And the way ayahuasca was working, he goes, it doesn't matter. I said, okay, it doesn't matter. And it was over, and I saw my dad. I hadn't seen my dad since he killed himself. 20 years, man. 20 fucking years. And he just walks in, and it's not him. It's like the image, right? And the medicine brings him forward. And I was like, Dad, dude, I love you. I miss you. I wasn't crying, man. I was happy, right? I was like, why'd you kill yourself? You know how bad that fucked up our brother and our sisters and the ripple effect. And the medicine goes, that was not your journey.
Well, hello, friends of Bill W. and other friends. You have landed on Sober Speak. My name is John M. I am an alcoholic, and we are glad you are all here, especially newcomers. Newcomers, that is, both to recovery as a whole and newcomers to this podcast. Sober Speak is a podcast about recovery centered around the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. My job here on Sober Speak is simple. My job is to provide a platform to the amazing stories of recovery all around us. Consider Sober Speak, if you will, your meeting between meetings. Please remember, we do not speak for AA or any 12-step community. We represent only ourselves. We are here to share our experience, strength, and hope with those who wish to come along for the ride. Take what you want and leave the rest at the curb for the trash man to pick up. Greetings from Studio AA, deep in the heart of Texas. That was our guest one more time, Mr. Andrew A., on the second part of his interview that you heard at the beginning of this episode, and you are going to hear so much more from Andrew in just a moment. But first things first, this episode is made possible by Randy, Mats, Kurt, Anonymous, another Anonymous, and Audrey. And so you ask yourself, what exactly did Randy, Mats, Kurt, Anonymous again, and Audrey do? Well, they went to our humble little website, www.soberspeak.com, and they clicked on the little yellow donation tab, and they made a contribution. So thank you so much, Randy, Mats, Kurt, Anonymous, and Audrey. This here episode is coming right out to Ewan's. And so the two Anonymouses are going, was I the first one? Or was I the second one? It's spelled the same way. It's pronounced the same way. So it's really hard to tell. Not even I really know. Anyway, all right, enough of my silliness. This is the second, by the way, for those of you who didn't hear last week's episode with Andrew A. Part 1, you can go back and listen to that. You don't have to listen to them in order, but I would definitely make sure you go back and listen to that if you did not hear it. And this one is Andrew A. Part 2, Ayahuasca on a Sober Mind. Oh, you know this one's going to be good. And we also had to mark this one as explicit, is what they call it. It has some trigger warnings, strong language. And anyway, if that's not your cup of tea, listen to any of our other 408 episodes that we have. Well, except for the ones with Andrew. Because I think I had to put trigger warnings on him there as well. Those would be episodes number 12 and 115 in the past, if you want to go back and listen to more of Andrew. And who would not want to go back and hear a little bit more of Andrew? Anyway, on this episode right here, Andrew discusses the first time he felt like a leader in his family. I love a quote that Andrew had on this episode. It says, "I don't have a broken brain. I have a broken heart." Andrew talks about depression, parts work. And if you don't know what that is, he'll talk about it in here, what it is. He talks about what he covers when he's actually coaching individuals. He talks about profits. He talks about, obviously, his ayahuasca experiment and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, without further ado, Mr. Andrew A. from Dallas, Texas. I know you're going to enjoy him, and we will have plenty listener feedback at the end of this here episode. Enjoy, Andrew. And you mentioned that this had kind of effects, outer effects on your family, and
oh my God,
talk about that.
So just to walk it back one step, where perspective started changing when I was listening to Gabor Mate talk to an addict. And of course, you know how I came in. I'm bad. I did this wrong. I have shared meetings. I used to fucking beat myself with a belt. And the guy was showing a video in Catholic school. Like, that's how that saint became a saint, man. And I was tired of hurting people. So I beat myself with a belt. That's what he did in the movie. Like punishing, self-punishment. And so I hate alcohol. I hate myself for drinking alcohol. But I never thought, what was it really providing for me? I just thought it was giving me an ability to kind of be, a derelict, which I really fucking enjoyed. But when I saw him talk to an addict, and we're talking somebody that has open fucking sores, and they're still putting more drugs in them, like way different bottom than I have seen in my sobriety. He goes, so the drug made you feel better. It brought you joy. It made you relax from everything you were thinking about that was driving you crazy. And I was like, yes, it was my friend. I was betrayed by a fucking friend. I don't have a broken brain. I have a fucking broken heart. And when I realized that, I shouldn't be blaming. I should be accepting. And I had done it in other aspects of the life. But like I said, the house of cards was now getting to a place where I had already knocked off a few stories from it. And now I'm dealing with what seemed to be simpler issues, but that had been with me for a much longer and complex time, And so I lost my train of thought here with, so that's what changed my perspective as to why I drank, I was hating myself for drinking, but I was really doing the only thing I knew how to do to try and save myself. And I never would hate myself for walking into those rooms. And I didn't really understand that because I really didn't want to be there until a similar epiphany shows up in stillness where I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking brave. I'm courageous. My soul could no longer take the bullshit my head was telling it. And it grabbed me in there. And the way I walked into those rooms, physically speaking, it felt like my chest was pulling me by my heart. Like when somebody grabs you by the front of your shirt and pulls you towards them. That's how I physically know that what I did. And that's when I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm looking at as a punishment is actually the price. When I admitted vulnerability, which was what I was trying to protect with alcohol, hair, and fighting and tattoos, I actually felt more secure. And this, this is what really got me going. Like, what the hell, man? Like, it's the red pill, the blue pill. I never seen the movie, but I know that I don't talk about the weather anymore. I'm like, hey, when's the last time you thought about suicide? I mean, I was on a urinal the other day and somebody's like, how are you doing? I said, full of fear and self-doubt. How are you? They shook that shit and walked out of there while washing their hands right quick. And washing your hands is important.
So my question was, though, what kind of effects has it had on your family and those around you?
Right. So, I thought that me leading the family was, protecting, promoting, providing anger, control, discipline. And then I broke down. I had what they refer to as a dark night of the soul. Nothing really made sense to me. And I'm like, the stories don't work. I've been working with the wrong set of fucking blueprints this whole time. And so now as I started reacting to things from more of a spiritual and understanding and harmonizing way, and my reactions were non-emotional, but more curious, more compassionate, more loving. So the way I was treating myself and the parts of me was starting to come out as to how I was treating them, because life is a mirror. I mean, when my wife says I'm making her feel dumb, I'm not supposed to argue with her feelings. If I have a reaction to that, it's my shit. And so when I react to that in the way I used to react, then the pattern continues. There's always a dance. There's a pattern. Like you fight with, like, I know when I'm going to say this to my wife, she's going to bring this up, and then I'm going to bring this up, and I have a menu available, like a talking tree.
Right.
Like I'm a phone salesman. If they say no, go to page 27. If they say yes, go to paragraph 2. She has her own, and that is so. That dance, now I started in my mind without really not a lot of focus. You're just deconstructing it because you ascend to a place that is compassion, understanding. If I can be an asshole and I'm okay with being one, then I'm okay with you being one.
Did your family notice a difference in you?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I think it was the first time I felt like the leader of the family. And I was in the back of the line. I was serving. I was their emotional state. I was talking to them, that I was listening with compassion to the entire story, while aware how much it was pissing me off. And let them finish and let them know that they were seen, they were heard, they matter. I love you. There was no solution required from me. There was no protection required from me. And they self-resource, just like I knew they would, just like I fucking did. But I did not trust. So now I have humans, like adult thinking humans in my house. Like, it trips me the fuck out. I mean, the love language in my house was aggression, volume, and physical pain. Like, whoever could do that the best, that was the top dog, and it was super loving. That's what makes it so confusing, right? I mean, like when we talked, like I went into attachment styles. Why am I behaving this way? And then I realized, okay, well, I have a mother that loves me. She's providing food, but it's, like her mood ran the house. So naturally, as a child, I'm all day negotiating between acceptance or authenticity. And anytime I'm authentic, I pretty much get smacked the fuck back down, right? So compliance it is, bitch, right? And compliance is a much different behavior than cooperation, right? And so that's what happened is I became so soft with me that my family became soft. And oftentimes I would talk to them anticipating their reaction, but not because they were that way. It's because I was protecting myself from that way, making me feel this way, right? And I remember just sitting there, like, it's just stillness is where this shit comes to me. And I'm going like, I was journaling and it goes, if you were meant to be there, we would not be here. And I was like, fuck you, Jesus. I'm fucking working hard, bro. I got blood, sweat, and tears. And now you give me 2 sentences that absolutely just rang so fucking true. I melted into the chair, and so like if a fight's
what was that
happening,
phrase again?
if you're meant to be there, you would not be here. And that, yeah, I had the same, like, that was the other thing that the training has taught me was to pause. If I have a reaction, I was so used to just reacting. And now I'm just like, hey, like, I'm not a brain surgeon. Like, this is not a nanosecond decision that bust me bane right now. No one's going to lose their life. Chill the fuck out. We're just trying to figure out if we go through the drive-through car wash or do I do self-vacuum? It's that intense, I mean, and that's the other piece. I think it's been, I talk about my depression openly. I think that has been, it's like AA. I talk about that openly also. I talk about parts work. I said, at this point, the benefits it has given to me, I look at it very much like God with his disciples. They saw it. And so my job is to just go talk it. I'm not a convert. I don't have fucking, sobriety by numbers. A book's already been written about that. all I fucking have is what I was taught. And there's nothing more than a fucking beggar showing another fucking beggar where the bread is. That is it. Your pain is my fucking pain. You know, like the difference between me and any other fucking drunk is I just got here a little bit sooner. I just know where the bathroom and the keg is. That's it. That is it. I have no additional leverage. And man, that's I don't know if it's humility. I don't know what it is. I just view it like fucking grand. It's huge news for me. It takes away all my limitations when I place that simple boundary. It's paradoxical. I don't drink because I'm allergic to alcohol or because I'm a participating member of AA and all those. Those are pieces and parts of that. My heart and my identity does not drink because I don't. I certainly have money. I'm over 21. I can drink in private. And there's several fantastic fucking things I've seen in liquor stores that I have never ever seen. Like that honey scotch, like that shit looks badass in a margarita. But the point being is like, my identity is this. And, you know, I would spend a lot of time talking about other things, injustices outside. And I was at a coaching class, and the guy says religious based, and he said, you know, he tells the story of Jesus getting his feet washed with some heavy perfumed oil, and his disciples going like, man, he shouldn't do that. He should have sold that, made money, and given it to the poor. And basically, he tells them the poor are plenty among us. And the way I heard that was, shut the fuck up. It is what it is. We're here. That's how I heard it. And it immediately brought all the energy I had splintered out of my head to talk about injustices in the church, injustices with police, injustices in politics, everything that was keeping me outside of me. It brought it right back. And I was like, you know what? And it became, this is promotion, not attraction. You know, I'm having meetings within myself. Like right now, you and I are talking, this is communion. Mm-hmm. This is communion. God's here. Sobriety's here. I fucking would run away from that kind of woo-woo shit. I don't have time for that faggoty shit. Period. And here I am, fucking scared as fucking fuck, looking the way I do, standing here going like, I'm just a servant. I don't know shit. I can hold a space for you. If you're fucking scared, I can sit with you. You can tap into my nervous system, you know. And I had this experience. I went to ayahuasca, and
okay, so let's explain to people what ayahuasca is before you.
Yeah.
So ayahuasca is, so you are a seeker.
That's right.
You experiment, and this is going to be interesting. Who knows? I may get some feedback on this. Everybody's got a different opinion on this. I'll put it that way. And Bill Wilson did his acid experiment to try to heal and make his depression go away and all that sort of stuff. So first of all, before you start into that, tell people what ayahuasca is so they know.
So, well, I went there as a seeker. I did not educate myself a whole bunch on it, but it's basically plant medicine, ancestral. And just like the First Nations, we have peyote that more people would be familiar with, and you have the same with mushrooms. Well, I don't know necessarily where ayahuasca comes from, what plant, but it's hallucinogenic. And what it's known for, it would be through seeker journeys, any whatever pillar of life had just tumbled for you and you were so confused. And the way...
And why did you... What drew you to that?
So I was still, like I'm sober, I'm working, but I'm not happy, like what's going on here? And I'm doing enough research and what's going on within. And I remember I saw a TikTok meme where this guy says, he's talking to a psychiatrist, goes, why are you here? And he goes, well, I'm a good dad, I'm a good husband, I'm a good this. I said, if I was fucking good at spiritually, I fucking wouldn't be here. Like, that's what I'm having issues with, is resolving this sadness, this shame, and this guilt, which I didn't never call them that. I just thought I had to temper, like I want to go, but I want to stay. Like it was really confusing to be me. And so when I was doing all the work with the parts work and I'm going through, my internal confusion is manifesting itself in my marriage. It's manifesting itself in my sobriety in the sense that I'm not necessarily going to meetings. I'm now isolating more. It's manifesting itself in my work. I'm not into it. I'm not returning emails. What I did not know then, even though my dad did commit suicide from alcoholism and suicide, depression, alcoholism, and then committed suicide. But to my point earlier, I was gone out of the house. I had a dad that was doing very well financially. I had 3 younger siblings. We had the house in the burbs. It works, right? Like I turned 16, I got the car. Good grades, the works. And so my sister and my brother saw a much different version. One that had lost his job and went into alcoholism and this and that. So when I was going through that, one of the things that Gabor Mate said, he said, this is not a journey out. He says, alcohol, weed, you're doing things to escape. He says, ayahuasca will not let you escape. It'll take you in. And it separates the soul and the ego. And I did have that experience. And it was, I talked to my sponsor about it. I did a lot of research. Not in a sense of, what's it made out of and what did I take, but research just in the sense like spiritually speaking, if I'm in this stage where I feel separated, what are the questions I should be asking myself? I was coming in prepared.
And it's not addictive.
No.
Right.
Yeah, that was the biggest.
Right.
That was the first one, was like, because I would never do that. Like I don't touch, I really don't fuck with cigarettes. I don't fuck with, because I know my addictive nature.
Right.
I mean, I get addicted to exercise.
Right.
Like I'm very aware. I have one chocolate chip cookie. Next time you see me, man, I'm like, fuck it. I'm eating condensed milk out of the can. Not with a spoon. I'm dipping it in white bread. But you know what? I keep coming back to this. Like my sense of humor around all these parts, that's been the integration, the acceptance that is who I am. That is who I am. And I would hide that. I wanted to be, cool, calm, collected, dark, and mysterious. Fuck no. I got Robin Williams I probably got penguins and ninjas on cocaine in my head pushing buttons. And I was so afraid of just showing that because anytime it kind of came out, I could judge reactions. Most trauma victims are this. Most of us alcoholics, 80% of us, are some form of sexual abuse and child abuse. And no one ever helped us model a process through whatever we went through because they did not have the tools. But alcohol was an immediate, And by the way, I wasn't going to fucking talk about my rape till I was 40. And even then it was like, it came out of nowhere. Now, later on, you read about Peter Levine, who created Somatic. His came out around 55, his abuse. The body stores a lot of this information. That was the other piece. I started paying attention to myself. Like, what does this mean? Like, why would I feel fear right now? A little bit, walking into a meeting, a little bit of anxiety. I'm like, what's that about? What's that about? And I got calls to make and I really shouldn't be here. Yeah.
Okay. So let's kind of take a little deeper dive there on what happens and what the solution is when you walk into a room, you feel anxiety. Kind of take me through that and how you would coach somebody. I'll put it that way.
Right. So what I do is, first, it's always in my body, right? So anything in my body, the way I've had it taught to me, and maybe I fucked it up and now I'm going to explain it, but it's a feeling. Once it goes into my head and I attach a story to it, then I have an emotion. And like, for example, love feels, I love hot dogs and I love my wife. I'm not fucking a hot dog.
We wouldn't blame you if you did.
No, I saw American Pie. It didn't look that well. And like I said, I have a sweet tooth. But I said, so whatever I sense is a historical recording warning. It could just be the check engine light. And just like a check engine light goes, oh, fuck in your head, how much is that going to cost? Even though it could simply be $39 oil change, the human brain always goes to worst case scenario, period. That's in our DNA. Understanding that, now I'm not a fucking asshole for thinking worst case scenario. I was supposed to, and I walk it back. So the integration and the harmonizing, I'm talking about the parts that I was keeping in the shadows. When I get insecure walking into a meeting and I feel that my gut kind of shrink and I'm like, oh, what is that? No, I want to posture up, but I won't. And then I go to the places I fucking know, but I'm too afraid to say out loud. I want to be seen as smart. Are the cute girls going to look at me? Am I going to be accepted? It's primal, man. It's fucking primal. And it should be there. The brain hasn't changed in thousands of years.
So why
What's
does
changed
God...
is the amount of information we're now getting pumped into us.
So that is all, like you said, is primal. So it's obviously an instinct that God gave us, right? And it's supposed to serve it would seem like it's supposed to serve some sort of good. But I guess we go out of bounds with those thoughts. And I mean, do you have any?
Yes, they feel good after they feel bad, just like our journey through alcoholism. But the first buzz of us nearing the electrical wire, we shriek and go the other way. But if you've ever been, you just got to walk past the electrical wire. And then, it hurts a little bit entering and it hurts a little bit leaving, but that's it. So when I say I go to I want to be seen, I want to be accepted, those are incredibly primal acceptances for a masculine, aggressive man who wants to walk into a room and demand the attention based on my size, how much painting I've done on my skin, and my good sense of humor, my beautiful smile. I go to the I don't know. If you ask me, hey, what brought that fear up? I don't know. I fucking know exactly what did. I've been saying I don't know since I was a little kid. I just don't want to say it out loud because I don't want you to think what I think of myself, that I'm weak, broken, and completely at a loss of how to fucking live. But I go there. That's where I live. And that's why it feels so fucking good. The boundary, to be honest, has created freedom. So the boundary that I remember learning the difference. I used to pride myself in being brutally honest. I'm brutally honest. I know my shit. I understood what radically honest was. Brutally honest is, you're a piece of shit. You made me feel bad. Radically honest is, I feel insecure. And when you said that, I felt weak. And I wanted to protect myself. So I yelled at you, I'm sorry. That's it.
Right.
That's fucking it. I'm never protecting myself from you. I'm protecting my perception of myself from you. Like every argument I have ever had, and I negotiate for a living, and I've been married to the same woman for 35 years, so we grew up together, right? It's really an argument about me trying to get her to see my perspective. And I will not listen to yours until I feel you have understood mine. Well, if that's true for me, then it must be true for her, right? And I went, okay, well, if being hard on myself worked, then I would have stopped doing that years ago. That's why I'm friends with all my fuck ups, because yelling at them never worked.
Right.
So I thought, okay, when I was learning this, I said, in marriage, there's me, there's my wife, and then there's the marriage. Marriage counselors treat the marriage. They're not there to go, you're right, she's right, you're wrong. They're there to go, the marriage is the third component. It's that third dynamic, that third energy is your energy and her energy fucking blended, and how does it work together? It is not me and her. So I thought, okay, fuck it, let's bring this up a level. If me demanding she understands me because the weakness in me needs to feel I'm standing up for it, what if I did the fucking most Jesus shit ever and surrendered and let myself get killed? And I thought, all right, fuck this. I will listen to her perspective and I will not inject anything of mine until I feel I fully understand her. Dude, it has changed basically what I was doing inside, I'm now doing outside. And it's changed. I don't have to protect anything. I just have to understand. And when I understand, I either agree or disagree. I've never been in this space before, but I thought, what was getting me to this, all this parts conversations and you're polarized, you want to love, but you want to protect. And I want to fucking go to church, but not that church. And, division is the opposition of love. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting into, why am I so emotional? Why am I fucking crying? And then I get into Richard Rohr and I understand before Jesus cried over Jerusalem, other preachers cried over Jerusalem. This isn't fucking new. Why am I pretending? And that's when I was like, I'm fucking prophets. You're a prophet. We got a prophet. You are a prophet. I'm a prophet. Everyone in those fucking meetings is a prophet. The guy that comes in and doesn't come back, prophet. He tried it. You know what I mean? We're not disciples. We're not trying to pay. We're disciples. We're going with we're teaching what we have learned, and you decide. We're not saying this is the way. This is like fucking like be Catholic by numbers. How many old ladies did you help cross the street before you get into heaven? Which when I went to church, they were like, I was going to fucking hell anyway, because it didn't matter. Like, I remember asking the priest going like, so he told me there was a guardian angel assigned to me and he would put a demerit every time I had a bad thought. And at the time I just asked him, I was like, is it a demerit if you think it or if you do it? And he goes, it's a demerit if you think it. As it is, more if you do it. And he goes, no, it's the same demerit. I'm like, well, I'm fucking doing it then. Like, why think about fucking a threesome? Let's just go have one. So this is where a lot of these, like, what's been working for me is now seeping out in just the way I talk. Like, hey, this is how I understand it. My wife, like, to go back to an earlier example, when she says I made her feel dumb, I said, it's life's a mirror. And I sat back and I was like, why am I over explaining this to her? Why am I telling her who the author was about this technique? And then it dawned on me, I feel dumb. No one should take advice from a piece of shit like me. That's why I quote people that are worthy. That's when I tell you the good advice I got, because if you look at my life, it's a fucking shit show because I'm always struggling with me, right? That's what's going on in my head. But that was such an incredible realization. For 30 years, she's going, you're making me feel dumb. What the mirror was saying was, you think you're dumb. That's why you over-explain. And then I just went, but I'm not dumb. The way I was emotionally manipulated by my parents, my wife, and some other people when I would go a little bit too close outside of the reservation was, you're a really impressionable guy, Andrew. And I would go, oh yeah, I shouldn't trust other people. You know what impressionable people are? They're fucking the learners or the mystics or the ones that are fucking painting outside of the line. But that's when I started learning, when I communicate when I'm asking for advice, when I'm going out, what's coming back to me is a version of what makes that person feel safe. Let me tell you how to behave, oh dear one, in a way that's not going to freak me the fuck out.
Right.
Right? So like when I go to my wife and I say, I want to go to culinary school in New York, she's like, Collin College has got a good system here. Let me look it up for you. I'm not too dumb to not go to one of the best culinary schools. It's too unsafe for her. Right. And so seeing the pieces of the conversation, where they are, our backgrounds, everything is interrelated. It really, when I went deep down within, everything externally really opened up. So if it was okay for me, it's okay for them. I don't know what it's like to be black in America. Why the fuck do I have an opinion about it? I don't know what's next? I'm going to tell my wife how to fucking have a proper menstrual cycle. Like, that's the fastest fuck. Like, here's what I do know. I'm here, I'm fucking scared, and I'm making it up as I go along, and I'm trying not to hurt any human bodies or take emotional hostages. There we go. And then I go, what if this is all there is? Well, if I was meant to be there, I wouldn't be here. This is all there is, motherfucker. I know that God does not talk to people like he talks to me. But that's what he says to me when I was driving to the meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I don't want to go to a meeting. I should be working, right? Like the shame. I should be working. I shouldn't be taking half, in the middle of the week. My wife is working hard. She's contributing more to the house than I am, blah, 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 right? Like all that shit. Work, 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 perform, perform. And I go, I'm not okay. And then I smile and I go, I am okay because I know I'm not okay. And then I hear, motherfucker. And I was like, I got you, Jesus. Thank you. Like he was calling me a motherfucker, and that's he should. But it's not a motherfucker in a bad way. It's like, there you go, son. You got it. But he's not my son. He's my brother, right? Like this is, and he came here and he had a fucking, he lived in human form. So what's human form? Who better fucking authority than me to go, well, I know Jesus was definitely horny. He was definitely angry. He was definitely fucking insecure. What do you think that 40 days in the desert was all about? That wasn't, I'm fucking certain I know what the hell I'm doing. It's confusion. And to your point, you only way past it is through it. And we've been taught that if it feels bad, run the other way. And I'm telling you, that's the fucking matrix that's fucked up. If it feels bad, it means go towards it. If it scares you, go towards it. That's where discovery is. I mean, why the fuck are we giving Columbus credit? That motherfucker showed up here with fucking what, Google Maps? Nobody's high-fiving ourselves for that. Like you found that shit with no maps looking at the stars, you're a badass. That's the work we're doing. That's discipleship. That's not fucking using numbers and structures or anything. This is, I'm feeling my way through this and I'm trusting God. And that prayer where I trust that I should not know, but I know that I should not know. And you're with me in this not knowing. Bro, that is like, God, I'm walking out here into this convention of makeup artists totally naked. Like, oh, but I gotta be there, man. That's the most alive I have ever felt. And I was doing things that I thought were keeping me alive. Traveling, jumping off planes, fighting, doing all these activities. And I realized they were just socially acceptable versions of me beating myself with the belt. They were all activities that were keeping Andrew from Andrew, pretending Andrew was doing Andrew. Yeah, it's a mind fuck. I'll stop there for a second.
Okay, I want to circle back though to just because I know people are going to be interested in this because you talked about ayahuasca earlier.
Yes, yeah.
But then we never really would talk about your experience and what you learned and what sort of guidance you would have for those who are listening to this.
Right. Okay. So,
first of all, you're 20 plus years sober.
Yeah,
you've worked through the steps.
Yep.
You're solid. You have a solid base. I'll put it that way.
That's correct. Yeah. And I honestly feel that very few people land at ayahuasca before they maybe have done shadow work, which I had done, or before that have done maybe some IFS, CI, EMDR. Like you're already seeking outside of Alcoholics Anonymous. Mm-hmm. Alcoholics was a symptom, and now you're being proactive and curious and seeking to find a real solution, right? That works for you. And so by the time you get there, you've already been, through a couple of trials yourself, and they're leading you there. That's the most mystical part about it. And so when I got there, I went there with as much of a blank slate as I could and said...
And did you just Google this or
Oh, so I had heard Gabor Mate talk about it.
Okay.
And then I heard Dick Schwartz talk about it.
And these are the people that
these compassionate inquiry and internal family system. So they were finding a lot of success. And I had heard before when I was a vet, after I had gotten out of the military, I remember hearing stories about vets coming in Israel that were getting these kinds of treatments and having major fucking breakthroughs.
They couldn't get rid of their PTSD.
Right. And then here the fucking VAs got me prescribing me pills and shit. And I was like, fuck, man, the people who are supposed to be helping me are fucking beating me down. Another version of my mom, right? This is how it's all tied together. The world's out to fucking fuck me.
Mm-hmm.
And the world's out to fucking fuck me used to get me drunk, and the world's out to fucking fuck me is getting me enlightened.
Right.
It's always the same thing. That's the piece, right? Now I'm just channeling the energy in the direction it was meant to be, but unless I misfired it, I mean, when I used to fire weapons, you take a couple of shots and the first two are like, oh, I thought I was closer than that. Right? Like, it's always, a smart missile is being guided 99% of the time. So I Googled it. And I started through there. And then at the time, it was like, this is illegal, this is that. And so I was like, fuck, you got to go to Costa Rica or like Panama and you got to have the special diet. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. Let me go jog or hit the punching bag, right? Like, let me spiritually bypass the whole solution. And so, because that shit smelled like patience and work and research and, everything I didn't want to do. I didn't want to slow down. But so the one I found, it was a church, and I just went in blindly, man. I just, I did a little bit of research. I went through the couple of clinical trials that they had, like send us this, do that, let's talk.
Here in Texas?
No, I went to Florida.
Okay.
And so I drove there. So for 2 days, I just tried to keep myself in a space. I was already fasted. And like I said, I was really going in as open-minded, like, oh, universe, show me where to go. That's what my ego was trying to say. Deep down inside, I was like, I want a really fantastic business idea. Right. Do I or do I not stay married? Like fucking like all this, like, and so I was like going there, let that shit come up, bro. It's there. You can't keep it buried. Like it's not shallow. If it's bothering you, it's not shallow. But I called it shallow. People say it's shallow. We laugh about it because it is. It's childlike. Let the fucking child out, Andrew. So that's what I did. And so we get there and it starts and, you go through a medical checkup coming in and then not just physical, but then they go through Q&A. Are you taking this? Are you on that? Because the stuff will have an effect if you're taking other drugs. So they had a couple of doctors there, nurses and an ambulance. And so.
How many people were there?
Like it had to be, I walked in, it had to be probably 90. It was big.
Wow.
And of that, you had 80 that were dudes. And of that 80 dudes, about 60 of them looked like me. And
did they separate the men and women during the experiment?
No, we all got in a circle, we sit down. You're in a yurt. I'm doing things I never thought I would do, right? Like I'm hanging out with fucking hippies. I've never seen that many men with man buns at the same, like it was a man bun convention going on, and they had satchels and they were, they were wearing like all white. And I kind of knew, but like I had to attack it first. I cannot accept it. I have to fucking make fun of it. After I make fun of it, then I can love it. But first we're going to poke it. And not because I want to. It's because I haven't developed a skill set not to. So now I just play with what I got and then do a you back to me quickly, right? So I'm going like, look at all these fucking fuckers. Fucking hippies. And then we start praying, man. I've never felt that kind of love before. And I'm looking around and those guys are there present for me. I don't know them. And I started letting that in, right? And then Gabor Mate comes up and he talks about the journey in and let the medicine reveal to you. Like, don't go in with I don't want my head to direct something because, the head is always what it wants versus what it needs. And, I have trouble communicating from the head to the heart already as it is. Mm-hmm. But that's why I use that example. Like my heart was like, oh, whatever you want to show me, Mother Aya. And my head was like, don't forget to ask for $17 million, motherfucker. Like, don't be a little bitch. You want a 6-pack too. Have her tell you how you can get a 6-pack while still eating Oreos and those milkshakes you love. And fuck Ashley. So anyway. So I get there, man, and it's like, I'm in a log cabin and there's 2 of them and there's probably maybe about 40 people in each one, maybe 20. And then there's a yurt and they're burning Palo Santo and sage and they're blasting acid music, which I had no idea that was a fucking thing. I'd done acid before. I didn't know there was a playlist. And, but it's very spiritual, man. And you just start, and so everyone starts with the same dose, and it's ritualistic, It's like we go through a couple of exercises to open our heart. We go into some exercises to what is that you're seeking, and then can you surrender? Can you accept? And, so when it started, there were some people crying, there were some people laughing. And so the deal was like, you get this one serving, everyone gets the same exact serving, regardless of experience. Then we'll come back, ring a gong in 2 hours, and then we can up it, or you can stay where you are, whatever. You'll know, trust your body. There was a lot of talk about, trusting yourself, which is everything I was told what to fucking do. Up until like maybe 5 years ago, hey, Andrew, how you doing? I'd be like looking at my wife or my mom, like, how am I doing? Like somebody's got to tell me what to do, right? Like you're just on autopilot on how I was conditioned to behave and be accepted. And so I get there and man, all I do is just fucking bitch. I'm a fucking complainer. Oh my God. And there's that dude's laughing, that woman's screaming. I can't stand Palo Santo and sage or whatever the fuck they're burning. And who the hell's got somebody take the synthesizer away from that dude? And why is that woman saying, Madre tierra, madre tierra, madre tierra, madre tierra? And people are like fucking dancing. I was fucking irritated, dude. So angry that I spent $2,500 to go camping with a bunch of weirdos. And they ring the gong. And I was like, no way. What I thought was like 5 minutes, 10 minutes was 2 hours. And so I went up to like right there, that was the lesson. Like, and this is what's carried with me. It's been this, it doesn't matter, Andrew. Where before I was always thinking and sorting it out and protecting, promoting, defending, whatever. Like there were a lot of lessons, but this one was like, it doesn't matter. And so I take the second medicine. I take the other dose, and the next thing I know, I'm basically face down, ass up, and the medicine is performing surgery on my lower back. And you're there, but not there. And so the part of me that's there is going, oh, that would make sense. The lower back stores a lot of historical pains. And it was separated, and it was kind of effervescence, and little bubbles were coming up. And a part of me wants to go get closer. Another part of me goes like, no, that's too dangerous. So we decide to open a window, and I reach out, and sane me holds onto the window ledge, and then insane me gets to go and look at it closer, floating in space, right? And it's like a sunset light. It's beautiful, man. I'm at peace, but I'm in a little bit of pain, but I'm like, what is, so I start asking the medicine, like, is that one time that chick fucked me over? Is that one time I didn't get that sale? Is that like the bubbles are coming? I'm looking for I need my ledger to know what angers am I going to hold on to and which ones are you taking care of, ayahuasca? Because you fucking work for me, right? Mm-hmm. And she goes, it doesn't matter. And immediately I went, you're right. It doesn't matter. And I was like, wow. And that's still, 2 years later, where things that I would go out of my way to put things into the fucking rim. I'm a crude motherfucker, and you've heard me, but I say I'm the kind of guy that will go into a room by himself, shove a fucking stick up his ass, and have the nerve to come out screaming sexual assault. Like, that's how fucking polarized and disconnected I can be, I mean, I think last time I was on this podcast, I gave you an example of me finger fucking one of the holes in Jesus's hands. So I just want to keep the theme going, that I will say that that's me. But that's how it works. I have to go to this really dark, dark place for me to find the light. I got to make it super fucking ridiculous to find the reason, and the way ayahuasca was working, it goes, it doesn't matter. I said, okay, it doesn't matter. And it was over, and I saw my dad. I hadn't seen my dad since he killed himself. 20 years, man. 20 fucking years. And he just walks in, and it's not him. It's like the image, right? And the medicine brings him forward. And I was like, Dad, dude, I love you. I miss you. I wasn't crying, man. I was happy, right? And I was like, why'd you kill yourself? You know how bad that fucked up our brother and our sisters, and the ripple effect. And the medicine goes, that was not your journey. Immediately, I felt like, oh, you're right. That was not my journey. Like, there was no emotional attachment as to me seeking an answer or needing an answer that would satisfy me in my emotional state of missing him. It was like, that was not your life path. That was his. And I was, oh, fuck, you're right. Sorry. And then I was at peace. I didn't have to have an answer as to why. And I started crying. And I started apologizing that I was not able to financially provide for my brother and my sisters and my mom. And I didn't know I was holding on to that shame. But it was like in my ribs and like my abs couldn't stop flexing. The disappointment to myself of not being the man he raised me to be. And all of a sudden he just goes, "You were a kid." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I was a kid. You're right. I was only 22, man. Dude, it was gone. I can walk this emotional scale. I can feel that right now. My disappointment, my shame, my guilt. Why not? I carried it. I manufactured it. It's a fucking piece of work. It's a piece of art. I have to go and view it. And then after I viewed it, I could, move on. So to the point that you're talking, like, how is it that you get to this stage when you want to walk away from it? It's like, it's crazy, but it's like, the only fucking analogy that's coming to me is like somebody farts in the car, you roll down the windows, nobody stops, nobody pulls over, nobody's asking them what they had for dinner. But to your question, the first 2 minutes of us sniffing it, we pretend it's not there. And that's where we get drunk. When we believe it's not there and we know it's there.
Okay. So this has been great. I knew we'd have like I said, we don't plan this out, right?
No,
we just sit down, me and you, and go, I don't know, let's just talk, see what comes out. But I know, Andrew, you're incredibly just insightful. You're incredibly intelligent. You can articulate these things like nobody else can. And I know that the listeners are going to get a lot out of this. So to wrap it up here, with the people who are listening, we've talked about all kinds of things, right? We talked about ayahuasca. We talked about the parts. We talked about, dealing with trauma. We talked about so many things. Is there anything that comes to mind, anything in your gut that you say, I just want folks to know this?
Oh. When you ask that question, when I get emotional, it's because I always talk to the young child. And when you say, what do folks need to know? I just imagine myself getting in one knee to like the most beautiful version of me and telling myself, I love you. You're good.
Yeah.
I remember just, that's it. I love you and you're good.
I think we all need to hear that. I know I do. I know I still struggle with many of the things that you've been talking about throughout our entire conversation. I appreciate you. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, man.
You're just a good dude. And I appreciate your vulnerability and your willingness to share, like I said, your experience, strength, and hope. And this has just been just good, right? There's a lot of times I do these podcasts and and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I'm kind of checking a box, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other times I just kind of feel God right in the room here with us.
Yeah.
And I feel like a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of knowing, a sense of this is doing the right thing for the people that are listening to this.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to mark the episodes explicit.
Right. I think all of mine have been that way.
As always,
I'm like, we only make NC-17 records here. What is this? This is gangster rap for the spiritual inept.
Yeah. We'll call this Straight Out of Frisco.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Who's this? Fuck that ego.
The mean streets of Frisco, Texas.
Fuck, I think we just culturally misappropriated a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. For the record and for Terrence and NSA, that was just a simple mistake. I apologize. Under no circumstances do my opinions reflect that of uncle or so to speak, the city of Frisco. I think the fire chief of Frisco, he also had nothing to do with these statements.
That's funny. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm going to read page 164 from the big book. It starts with abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship with a capital F of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us like me and Andrew A. as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Once again, my friend, my good friend, love you. Thank you so much for coming by today.
Love you too, man. Thank you.
Thank you once again, my dear friend, Mr. Andrew A. You are a treasure and definitely one of a kind. I appreciate you coming in here and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with the Sober Speak audience. I'm sure they got a lot out of that. Remember now, we do not want you sharing your toothbrush, but by the way, and I started, okay, so my mind just went on a little track here. So I started to say, we don't want you sharing your STD as well, but I saw something, some sort of something I read in the paper, or I saw a news flash or whatever about it the other day. And they said something about STIs. Apparently STDs are not called STDs anymore. I think they're called STIs, but I'm not sure. Nonetheless, we don't want you sharing your STD. We don't want you sharing your STI. We want you sharing none of it. Okay. Just keep it to yourself, and I don't know, possibly your partner or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But nonetheless, we don't want you sharing your toothbrush, but we would love for you to share that episode with another friend or family member. It may be just what they need today. So pause that device you're on, whatever it is, hit the share button and get that episode on over to another friend or family member. And also, I'm supposed to say this, I hardly ever remember, like us and give us ratings or whatever on whatever podcast player you're on. Leave us a review, something like that. Apparently that stuff helps. But nonetheless. All right, now into a little bit of listener feedback. Excuse me, folks. I'm having a little phlegm, I guess you call it, in the throat. I hope I get through this okay, but nonetheless, here we go. Theo writes in. Oh, yes, Mr. Theo. Theo says, damn, the subject line is, damn, John, you just made me cry. And Theo says, I'm on the job site in front of a bunch of construction workers. I was listening to your podcast and you read my letter. Bro, he calls me, you kick ass. Thanks, bro. Back at you. And I am proud of you. And sometimes I think God is just showing off, because right before you started reading listener mail, I thought maybe he will mention me. And the next words I hear are my name. Wow. I'm glad I tuned in today, and you just made my day, Theo S. Oh gosh, I remember that letter, Theo. Yes, thank you for writing in. And you tell your construction worker friends that John M. says hello, and all the Sober Speak listeners want to give them a big shout out. Probably 10% of them need the program as well, so maybe they'll catch on, and we'll read their letters on the program someday. Thanks for writing in, Theo. I appreciate you, my friend. Matt writes in, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, M-A-T-S, and he says, Hi, John. I truly enjoy Sober Speak and thank you for your service. I find that many of the speakers have very high spiritual level that I truly enjoy listening to, and they help my spirituality and keeping me emotionally sober. I found Sober Speak when my sponsor sent me Sandy Beach's talk, God is Everything. I should have Sandy back on again. Well, I mean, not for those of you who don't know, he's not with us anymore, so I couldn't really interview him, but I should get another one of his live tapes and, well, not live. I mean, like one of his tapes recorded in the past. Oh gosh. Anyway, and as I said, so after that, I've been listening to many of the great speakers. Among them, I truly enjoyed Joe Mook's talk, reporting for service. I also like the length of the recordings you have, John, and that they are sometimes broken up into two. It gives the recordings a great depth. I'm not a member of AA. But part of ACA. Oh, okay. Yes. I remember that. Since growing up in a dysfunctional family, I was at a low point in my life, and at my first ACA meeting, when I received the grace of God in a way my previous 20 years of spiritual seeking had not given me. Oh, wow. At that time, I was going through a divorce, but the 12-step program truly helped me getting through that period in a dignified way and acting decently to my kid and ex-wife. And since then, I have been through some lows, but the ACA program has always helped me getting in touch with God and getting through my low periods in a way I did not think was possible before getting into the program. I am residing in Stockholm, Sweden. Best regards, Matt. Well, I'm assuming you're a native of Sweden there, Matt, and your English is absolutely fantastic. Much better than my Swedish, I can guarantee you. That's really about the only word I know is Swedish. And I don't even really know that that's a word. But thank you, Matt, for writing in. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you have found so much fulfillment in ACA. Oh, I need to... gosh, if I remember when I get up, I need to get you in touch with Cassandra here on the podcast, who helps us with the podcast. And she is an ACA, and just very involved, and she may be able to give you some good insight to some other resources here, at least in the United States. Thank you. Epson writes in, and Epson says, Dave F. contact details. It's funny, I was messing with my printer today. I knew that name sounded familiar. Anyway, my Epson printer is not spelled in the same way, as not working right. Anyway, sorry, Epson. There's something over here that is called a it's part of it's a printer. These people who make printers, and it's called Epson, EPSON. I know your name is EPSEN, but nonetheless. Epson says, Hi, John. Thank you so much for your service. I've been enjoying your podcast for a long time, and I often share episodes with my home group here in Copenhagen, Denmark. Man, we are getting international, are we not? That is so cool. By the way, I don't know if they make Copenhagen in Copenhagen. I doubt it, but I used, this is, sorry, Epson, I'm going off track here for a second, but I used to dip like a can and a half of Copenhagen a day. And I did that toward the end of my drinking and toward the, first couple years or so. No, I don't think it was a couple of years. I think it was like a year. The first year of, when I quit drinking, I needed something, right? So anyway, I was dipping a can and a half. I had it in all the time. But nonetheless, I wonder if they dip Copenhagen there in Copenhagen, Denmark. Who knows, right? Anyway, Epson says, your latest episode with Dave F. was especially meaningful to me. I've been exploring emotional sobriety for a while now, and I'm at the point where I'd like to put principles into action, possibly through a workshop or retreat here in Denmark. With that in mind, I was wondering if you'd be willing to introduce me to Dave F. I'd love to connect with him for some guidance or sparring, yeah, around the content and direction of such a project. Thanks again for all you do. It's been a lifesaver. Kind regards, Epson. Well, as you know, Epson, I replied to your email, copied you on Dave F. Dave F, I guess, got in contact with you, gave you some materials that you're able to use, and I'm so glad I'm just the middleman here, right? I get somehow the good speakers. I don't know why they want to come spend much time with me, but sometimes they will. We get them on the air, and then I'm able to spread the love, spread the joy, and be the middleman in many different ways. And I'm glad that you and Dave got in contact. By the way, I've had a lot of people actually here in my area, Dallas, after hearing Dave F on a couple of episodes say, hey, we should have Dave F do a workshop for us here locally. We should have him at a speaker event. We should do a lot of things. So I'm trying to figure all that out right now. I'd love to have him. I'd love to get him here live at a workshop. His travel schedule is a little tough to navigate sometimes, but hopefully we can make that all happen. If you have any interest, if you're out there in this big wide world and you have any interest in, I don't know, helping arrange something like that with Dave F here in the Dallas area, let me know. I'll get you and Dave together and whoever else is interested in helping with that, and maybe we can get a workshop together. But anyway, thanks for writing in, Epson. Calvin writes in, he says, "Hey, John, thank you for beaming out great interviews from Studio AA." Well, you're welcome for the beaming, Calvin. He says, "May I ask for your recent guest," here it is another one, Dave F., whose topic was forgiveness, provided any workbook study items to you that may be shareable. I'm looking specifically for items to use during a big book study workshop. I'm wondering if it's the same Dave S. who is with Mark Hewson, who authored another study guide that was shared at the Freedom of the Spirit conference in July of 2001. Couple things, Calvin. Yes, that is the same man. And then also, as you know, I replied to you, got you in touch with Dave F. I'm sure he provided you all the same material, and hopefully that is helpful. Once again, if you want to come up here, we could do excuse me, folks, a live workshop with Dave. That'd be fantastic. Marcia writes in via Christy. Okay. So Christy is writing in for Marcia, and I'm going to read this. And Christy says, "Hi, John. Marcia wanted you to know that she listens to your podcast on the radio, Talking Book for the Blind and Print Disabled. I had no idea that we were out there, and I'm so happy to hear that." Hi, Marcia. And Christy says, Marcia has a phone number and an email address if you ever want to call her, right? She has someone who will notify her of her emails. Her number is such and such, and her email is such and such. And she says, thanks again. And so I replied to that email and copied Marcia on it. Hopefully you got that, Marcia, and I'm so glad you're out there and you're listening. God bless you. Thank you so much for your contribution to sobriety over the years. I remember she's been sober since like 35, 38 years or something like that. And I'm so happy that we can provide a format that gives her a meeting between meetings. Thanks, Marcia. And thank you again, Christy, for helping out your friend. Ron writes in, and here's another one for Dave F. It says, Dave F. and step work. Ron says, "Hi, John. I was listening to the podcast with Dave S. Does he have any step guides available online or anywhere? I've been sober about 31 years, and I'm always looking for deeper dives into the steps from especially an emotional sobriety perspective. And it sounds like he has some good stuff in that arena. Many thanks, Ron P. And Ron P, I also copied you on an email to Dave, and I'm sure he got you over the material you were looking for." And finally, Paul F. writes in, and the subject line is, guess what? Dave F. By the way, if you're out there and you haven't listened to the previous Dave F. episodes, you want to go find that. I actually have some more coming up here in the near future, and I want to get him over to record some more. So this is going to be probably a heavy Dave F. year. Dave F., the year 2025 is going to be the year of Dave F. So anyway, Paul writes in, he says, "Hi, John, belated condolences on your dad's passing." Thank you, Paul. "Just picking it up from the podcast site. Be sober when someone close to us passing is a gift." You're right about that, Paul. It is a gift. And then he says, "Would you have an email for Dave F? Regionally touched by his podcast. Stay safe. Thanks, Paul." And I also copied you on Dave on an email to Dave F, and I'm sure he got you those materials. All right, so how do you contact me, you say? Well, there's several different ways. Number one, you can write me at John, JOHN, at soberspeak.com. You could also go to our Instagram page. It's at SoberSpeak, all one word. And you could just slide into my DMs and write me there if you'd want. You got to follow us, I think, and then you can write. Well, actually, I don't know if you have to follow somebody before you can slide into their DMs. But anyway, you can follow us while you're there and also slide into the DMs. Oh, what else do I want to say? That's about it. God bless you. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. I take this 1 week at a time. I hope to be back next week. You never can tell. And may God bless you and keep you until then. Love you guys. Thanks for listening in.